What up, homies? It's time for Game 2 between Hamster and the Shambler on the new map, Origin X. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. We've got the Mobiler, aka the Shambler, revving his engines in the top right as, I'm gonna guess, just straight up the white Terran. There you go. And Hamster is the Celadon Zerg in the top left. Going for fast gas again. I'm guessing we'll be seeing another den opener for the man. People have been going back and forth as to whether or not you can use the pool in certain matchups. Do you want to rush the den in certain matchups? All sorts of stuff like that. But I am a believer. I'm a believer in Zerg. I think basically anybody who's the underdog race and any unit that's an underdog unit that's hardly ever made, I'm rooting for that guy, you know? I'm rooting for them. As a reminder, Cosmonarchy is currently setting up for another tournament very soon. I hope you guys will join us for that. It's going to be a very exciting time. The tournament is called Acropolis number 2. There is a Liquipedia page. You can check that out in the description of this VOD if you're so interested. You can also check out part 1 of this series in the VOD. I always link those. You never know which videos are going to get picked up by the algorithm. In fact, maybe if I say the algorithm a bunch of times, the algorithm will pick us up. What do you think, oh almighty algorithm? Will this video get 1,000 views? Well, check back later for an answer to that question. So, we do have a double stockade opener here for the Shambler, who is the author of this map, getting it tested, figuring things out. Hamster, in the last game, played a macro style. There was a couple of unforced errors from him in the early game where he canceled his hatch without really needing to, because he felt like, you know, if Shambler moves out in this position, I'm going to lose. And so that was sort of the vibe there. I say it was an unforced error. In retrospect, it might have actually been the right move, considering the fact that if maybe it was true that Shambler should have actually moved out, right? All of these are potentially true. We'll see what happens after that. Now, the den did get scouted this time by the Shambler. We are going to have a bunch of I0 cores come out. I still feel like the 3 I0 core start is pretty damn powerful versus Bio. And based on the timing, it looks like Hamster got up there to scout the stockade opener with his worker before his opponent, like before he actually finished the den. So he could have chosen which unit to make out of the larva, courtesy of the den at that point. He's going to go for the Larvask, so, you know, he makes sense. He spent a lot of his minerals on the Azir cores, so getting an early expo was maybe out of the question. And now he's banking up money for that extra Hatcherosk, should he desire it. And he's going to wait for that third Azir core, or is he not? No, he's just going to go ahead and attack. Needs to get a little bit closer to actually do the spread damage, and a little bit awkward there. So if you guys don't know, the Azir core attacks units that are in its range, and that was just like kind of a perfect storm of badness for the Azir core, where it was attacking units on the extremities instead of moving up. So, you know, I talk about in some TVP matches, you see like vultures trying to snipe Cantavis, which is the new name for the High Templar, and it's like, yeah, you want to step forward with the vulture so that you can kind of glide forward, so that vultures behind the one in the lead can attack that unit all at once. You do a little bit of a moving shot and then a pirouette back. You almost want to do the step forward part for the Azir core as well. So a little micro movement there that could have really changed the course of that engagement. As it stands, it probably looks like the Azir core is not actually good versus Bile. Maybe that's actually why people have been talking about the Azir core being bad. Maybe they just don't know that little feature where, it's only going to fire the extra shots that it can fire if you get close enough to the target that you're firing at units within its weapon range, right? Now we have a couple of Hydras watching for potential drops, because the Azir cores weren't able to muscle up there for a scout. He didn't see if there's a star pad. I do like Hamster crossing his T's and dotting his I's there. His hatch is going to finish faster than the Ministry will actually get to set down, but it's pretty even timing otherwise. And another Larvask is on the way. He actually has enough money for another hatch if he so desires, so it'll be interesting to see what he wants to do in this position. Versus Bio, which can get across the map a lot, it does feel like maybe it would be a good move for Zerg to gun it for like a fast third base in this situation, just so that you can, build that base up over time. Maybe it can be somewhere further down, similar to TVZ and Starcraft 1. Obviously, the Nidus is behind Tier 2, just like it's actually behind Tier 3 for Zerg in Starcraft 1, but Tier 3 is like, you access Tier 3 faster than you access Tier 2 in Cosmonarchy sometimes. That's just based on the way that the timing works. The tech trees are pretty flat, actually. Zork is coming up for Hamster. He's going to be gunning it for some pretty cool units that you can get out of that. They are usually supportive units, with Hydras and Azir cores being more of a staple unit that you make. And now I like this I0 Corps doing a little bit of heckling, scouting the expansion, also scouting the general composition of the army. You see the Cyprians, you know that, okay, I probably need a little bit more of a front line in order to deal with them. Or I can go Gorger Corps, the flying Ultralisk type unit, if you want to compare it to that, if you haven't seen it before. Does deal splash damage. Oh, look at that. I0 Corps trying to do a little bit of heckling. Again, you can see he's only attacking the one unit that's in the way. Yeah, that's definitely a thing that's reducing its DPS a little bit there, because it's supposed to attack up to 2 units. So, and that each attack is supposed to bounce, right? I think it's up to 3 units and each attack is supposed to bounce. I have the website up. I can check right now. Yeah, up to 3 targets and each attack can bounce once. So, yeah, you can damage up to 6 units. It's pretty powerful in that situation. You just need to actually be within range. Couple of circuits coming online here just in the nick of time to dissuade Shambler from attacking into this force with impunity. He's got the Hydras in the back line to burst down Hurricanes, and he's got the I0 Corps in a position that he can definitely splash some of this army. He's got more Hydras by up the ramp, and not actually going to be using the Zorkas for anything just yet, but he does have that structure. Shroud is available. Starpad in production for the Shambler. Might end up going for that drop, or might just go for the Ant Seals to try to bust. A 4th circuit is now operational. And even though this is a very open choke, this actually reminds me of some of the really, really old maps that we had. I feel like this choke is way too open, actually. But even though it's very open, I'm looking at the way that the circuits are set up. That's going to be really difficult to actually attack inward. Now, if you were mech and you went Vulture, you could just like bypass that entirely, right? Go straight up the ramp and kill the workers and the game's over. But, you know, it's as of right now, the bio is going to have a really hard time actually making it through that little choke point there, especially with 4 Lakes on the way. Their spines are going to be more than capable of dealing with this force. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of an inch forward here with the I0 Corps blocking those critical and crucial Cyprians. A little bit of a soft contain at the natural here for the Shambler. And an Ant Seal is indeed on the way. That's going to be really good considering he needs detection to deal with these Lakes. Watchdog Scout on the way. You can lift those in Cosmonarchy. Eventually we'll remodel them to have, missile pads and stuff. Burrow's going to be good. There you can see just clearing so many of the bio units already. Gotta watch out, though. They are going to get focused down. Yeah, okay. Now it's in a situation where it's mostly Cyprian at this point, right? Going to go ahead and burrow at the right time. Really like this stutter step here for Hamster. Remember, Zerg units burrow... when Zerg units are burrowed, they actually regenerate twice as fast. So Lake is obviously really benefit from that. So really, honestly, I don't know how much of that was intentional, how much of that was luck, but I got to say Hamster really impressed me with the micro there. He doesn't lose a single Lake. Shambler could have maybe focused him down a little bit better, but in that kind of situation, that worked out about as well as it could for our Zerg player. He's now going to be in a pretty good spot to maybe go for an attack. He's just going to clear out the Watchdog Scout, which did end up confirming the Zorkas is there. I mean, not really a big surprise. But most importantly, didn't see a pool, didn't see a tier 2 on the way. And in large part due to the fact that, Shambler spent all this money on Lakes, right? Third base now on the way here for our Zerg player. I will admit, Shambler does have better tempo on the macro side because he will be able to go ahead and move out to that third base location. But I'm not sure that he has any pressure to attack. You kind of need like Ant Seal Eidolon to deal with mass Lakes, right, as a Terran player. So I'm not 100% sure about that one. But there are also 4 Ovaleths here. And so I think maybe part of that is because there's the expectation of the Covenant into Eidolon that we saw in the previous game. There's also the opportunity to do mass drops if the choke point is too fortified, right? And so Hamster doesn't have an actual position entrenched here just yet. He is going to go ahead and reveal that there is a bit of a move out starting. I'd love to see if the drops are going to involve Lakes. Yeah, they are. And you can see here that the Ant Seal is already out. So what is Shambler's response? Because Lakes in the mineral line can be really deadly, and it doesn't actually look like he's going for it. He hasn't really realized it yet, even though his Ant Seal revealed it. Look at this. They're going to go ahead and drop onto the mineral line. What's Hamster going to do? He's busy dealing with the actual attack force elsewhere, but the burrows were good, and they are going to start to wreak havoc. Only one of the Ovaleths actually going down. As long as Hamster can hold this bioforce, I mean, he is just wreaking havoc on the mineral line here. Many, many workers dead, and Shambler now at a bit of an economic disadvantage. I don't mind actually getting a couple of extra worker kills as he tries to come on down, denying mining from all of these positions. And Shambler is busy typing, so he's not actually going to say too much there. Not actually going to do too much, actually. He says plenty. Transferring all of his workers to his third base. And now maybe forced into a bit of an all-in position, perhaps. Many more Lake is behind the circuits. You're not really going to be able to attack that with the Hurricanes. There's almost no front line there. He's going to have to fall back home and see what he can do. Running away from the Hurricanes. Not a bad shout. He's actually kind of... This is almost like what the Zealots do in PvZ. You know, like they hide behind the mineral line. That's almost what happened there versus the Harakans. It's funny. I never saw that kind of thing before. This ministry brought down very, very low. And it looks like it will be enough to clear this up. Jim was going to end up hemorrhaging a couple of Mavericks, but... Ooh. So close to killing some Cyprians, too. That would have been insult to injury. All right, well, he's got 43 Masons on this base, so he can definitely change that up. Zorius scouting out over here and confirming that Hamster can harvest resources from that position. Nice snipe on an Ant-Seal. Looks like there's only, what, 3 of them left? When they stack up like that, they do shield each other and any units underneath them, so... But the Cyprian count is pretty high right now, and the Zorius count is not... Well, I say that. The Zorius count is pretty high, too. You know, relatively speaking, it should be pretty good. No Bactylisks, though, make this kind of engagement a little bit hard to actually make happen, because you want the Bactylisks to be able to just attack the enemy. Now, a lot of minerals just got spent on Zorius, and you can see here, Hamster's gearing up for Tier 2. There it is. I knew that was coming. He's got his third base. It's not actually saturated. He's got 12 workers being idle over here. One, like Lachesilus, gets elevated in. Just to add more confusion and anger and hatred. And looks like the Lakers will be brought down unceremoniously. Zavaleth going to be sent away, sent packing. Honestly, that drop was pretty significant, though. And now this third base, which is mostly undefended, is going to get heckled a little bit here. I would love to see the Lakers just commit to the mineral line in this position. Let's see what ends up happening here, right? Yeah, going after the workers. Oh, no! Oh, no! The worker count is so low. Type worker count in the chat. A worker count for Shambler. Let's see. Watch out. The Ant-Seals aren't in position to actually defend these Cyprians up here. Looks like that's still going to be good enough, but they're kind of out of range. Okay, now that lake is in the top can be cleared up. I was going to say they're kind of out of range there. You can see the Hydras are basically committed to this push, but they didn't, while they didn't kill the Ministry, they did kill so many workers that it's almost okay. And you can see here, the shots are still actually connecting a couple more Cyprians going down. It's all Cyprians. That's basically all Shambler has now. And you know what? You can deal with that. The Alkag coming. We're probably going to see a Vigrilisks again, those tanky MFers. Kind of... demanding that you have enough focused fire to bring them down from something like Eidolons, or you have Phalanxes in a good number. And obviously, neither of those are currently on the cards for Shambler, who is demonstrably behind. His economy devastated. He's like modern-day America. Man, that's like a really bad insult, actually. You shouldn't say that. I rescind my statement. I'm sorry, Shambler. I didn't mean to insult you like that. 7 Lachezilisks on the way for an emergency hold operation while the Alkag is going to be done. I was thinking Almaxilisks, but those would be... that's like a win more unit you use to continue to harass your opponent and just laugh at him while you hold behind all the circuits, but I don't think that's the safest option here, considering this push is still somewhat demanding some respect, right? 7 Vigrilisks on the way. The Lakers are going to go ahead and burrow, see what they can do. A couple of them not actually burrowing. Oh, no, he's actually unburrowed one of them. I don't think that was the right move. You can see here, he's kind of leading the melee units that are supposed to block all of the Cyprian shots, and that was a little bit of a disastrous move there for our Zerg hero. Now, the Vigrilisks are going to finish, but you kind of wanted there to be some damage behind that. The J Heavens Protect. Let's see what the Vigrilisks end up doing. The circuits are going to be made in just 12 seconds or so. One of them is going to get brought on down very fast. He doesn't really have anything that can deal spread damage, so what's he going to end up doing with this position? Yeah, I think the Vigrilisks are going to get overwhelmed. We need to see Hamster investing into some more units here. Remember, he's absolutely devastated his opponent's economy, right? He could have pulled his workers down south. He could have saturated that base as well. He's making some Lakers. He doesn't have the guts to go for Ski-Backed, apparently, or Tethvith, or anything that he would need to access Bactyls, Tethzoricors, anything like that. No. He wants the... I don't know what he wants, but he wants something kind of silly. All right, well, I guess we'll see how things work out from this position, but it's looking a little bit scary for our Zerg player all of a sudden. Capping his gas in the natural. Lake is on the way. He had those workers. Where did they go? I guess they transferred down to the bottom right. Okay, so this hatch is going to get bopped because he basically expected that. Okay, well, he's got the Lakers. He's got the Vigrilisks. They move pretty slow. So it's going to be a while before he can actually get them into an actionable position. Shambler has somehow brought this back. He's got his tier 2 out, and it looks like he's going to be going for probably captaincies, judging by his mineral bank, but he might be going mantles as well. Bit of a staple for the Terran army at this point. Setting up shop over at this ramp. Hamster's going to go ahead and try for an expansion yet again, this time at the 11 o'clock. I think he's got okay hatch count, but he could definitely use some more, judging by his mineral bank. And now, looking at this, his treasuries are going to be harassed, and the Terran army is super out of position. I would love a counterattack right in this position. It looks like Hamster doesn't love that idea just yet, though. He's probably not sure, right? Like, we can see the whole army is moving down there. In practice, this is a really dumb idea from the Shambler. Like, you really don't want to have your whole army out of position of a potential defense when you have no static defense back at home and your army back here is not very significant. If a high-effort counterattack came in, I really don't think that you would survive. And your army would be too far away to counter a push, right? So the workers are once again getting hunted down by this army, and Hamster probably can't believe his luck. He's like, wait a second, you mean I can just surround and isolate half of your army? Sure, the rest of them are going to be scrambled into action here, but this is a really good position for Hamster to maybe take a fight. Let's see what he wants to do with it. Gonna go ahead and burrow. Not enough Cyprians to really get too much damage dealt there. So that's going to be it for those Cyprians. There's many more on this ramp. And you can see the Terran kind of setting up for a little bit of a surround here. Hamster's really bungled this engagement, it feels like. He definitely could have done a lot more. In fact, many of his workers end up even surviving. I feel like that was an over-index. You don't really care too much about those workers, considering your position right now. More Lycasilisks coming. Still no Bactylisks. Trying to fight Bio without the tools that are most useful in that position. How has Shambler gotten back into this game, dude? This is such a... This feels like how would you lose from that position? I don't know. I'm not so sure, but we already see Hamster is depleted in the main and the natural. He's oversaturated in this third base position, and now he's reset that one so he can transfer a bunch of workers over there, maybe spread it out a little bit. His eco can be a little bit better than his opponent's, right? Because depletion is going to start kicking into main and natural here, so I wouldn't say Shambler has a high likelihood of survival just yet, economically speaking. It feels like if his army here gets cleaned, it's definitely over. But, he's making good catches, Hamster being a little bit caught unawares. You want the Avigralisks to engage with Azorius so they can get that speed boost, and then you also want the Lakis to come in and clear out some of those units. Shambler being lax with the army committal himself, he's going to end up losing many of those Cyprians on the outside. He's trying to get to a death ball count of 36 Cyps. That will force an engagement right here, though. He's going to go for the attack. I don't know that that's really the right move. You can see the Avigralisks just shrugging off most of those hits. They do need to focus fire. Where's the Lakis? The Lakis don't have a clear shot into the engagement. Now they're going to go ahead and burrow, but they needed to do that, it feels like, a lot sooner. Now the Avigralisks are mostly dead, but you can see the Cyprian count falling really, really quite heavily. 21 from 36. But where is the front line? There is no front line now anymore to deal with this. So the Hatrosk is going to get brought down. Would love to see the Lakis actually move a little bit further forward there, but obviously without a front line, it's a very trepidatious position. You can see that your opponent is busy dealing with stuff like the Excisant, the Hatrosk. You're like, okay, well, you're going to deal with that. I'm going to take this position. And it looks like Hamster is going to do that, just a little bit later than maybe we were thinking. And remember, with that, they're all in a line. They're begging to be exterminated by the Lakis. The burrows are going to come in, and it's going to be way too much damage for the Ant Seals to protect from. And you know what? That's another angle that I guess I haven't considered. The Ant Seals have been a repeatedly growing factor. The Hydra count is not really high enough to really focus on them and deal with them. So they're snowballing up in a huge count. And where's the anti-air? Lakis, Zorius, Avigralisks, none of them attack air units. So love to see something like that. That's another reason why you might want to go for the Bactylisks, considering their position. There's a lot of Durandals coming here. Lake is mostly not really able to join in this fight, but I guess they'll start clearing out the mech units that are coming in. And Hamster's actually just going to straight up call GG. I really can't believe that was how things worked out. I really honestly thought that there is no way Shambler could have come back from that position. Why doesn't he just say GG? He's too busy typing. And no, it turns out that typing is the way to win. I am proven wrong yet again. I hope you guys enjoyed this sudden twist at the end. I don't know how this wound up being a one-to-one situation, but you know what? That's pretty much it. GG, boys. We'll be back with more Cosmonarchy very soon.